So let's get started. Welcome to today's workout. It is a live, full body, follow along mobility routine. Now we're going to go through something that's going to cover everything from right down in your feet, in your heels and your ankles, all the way up to our fingers. So we're going to cover the entire body. And this is just so there's a number of different things that we're going to go through, and it's not to say that this is the only thing you can ever possibly do to improve your mobility and range of motion. And then just a little bit of background, like from me, my previous training history, everyone is different depending on what you've done in the past. My previous training history is I used to be a professional rugby player, finished that sort of 6.5 years ago, and many sort of things broken whilst playing rugby. By nature of an impact sport like rugby, things, shoulders, hips get tight. I pulled my hamstring many, I can't even remember how many times I pulled my hamstring. Even managed to pull my glute. I remember when they did that, when I pulled my glute, the physio was like, I think you've pulled your glute. What are you doing? We were doing front rack, 60 kilo, single leg squat. Blew the glute on the way back up. So I've got a lot of scar tissue around there, around hips and whatnot. So it's a work in progress for me. Probably all of our other coaches at School of Calisthenics are more flexible or mobile than me. So it's a good example to see me in action taking you through this, because it's going to be hopefully a little bit more relatable to you, unless you are also crazy mobile and flexible yourself. One of the things just to note on this before we just get started is like our philosophy at the School of Calisthenics around mobility and mobility training and range of motion, and the fact that we believe that there's a number of different tools that we can use, and there's different things that are going to work better for different people in different situations. And our job is to, in essence, to sort of simplify it, is we're going to try and sort of release, improve, increase range of motion at a joint or series of joints. Now, our job after that is not done. We then need to make sure that the brain is happy that there is stability and strength around that joint in those new ranges. So a lot of people say things like static stretching doesn't work. Well, there's plenty of research out there that like 6 to 12 week static stretch protocols increases range of motion, but it's what happens afterwards once you've done that. Does it stay? Does it remain? And it's only going to stay and remain if you give the brain a reason to want to keep it. It's the same as like a strength adaptation. If you say, for example, worked on your pull-up strength and got really good at pull-ups, and then you stopped doing pull-ups, your brain goes, oh, if you're not going to need that strength anymore, then I'm just going to wind that back. And you have to carry on doing them, if that makes sense. Whereas it's the same with flexibility. If you create range of motion, so you do a stretch, you can create range of motion. But if the brain doesn't know that or doesn't see that you're going to utilize and use that, it doesn't feel safe, it doesn't feel that you have strength and control in that new range that you've just stretched in, then it doesn't have a need or reason to maintain that range of motion. And therefore, effectively, like it's the brain. One of the brain's sole jobs is to protect us. So it's looking at that from a protection point of view. So just wanted to sort of lay the ideas there around our philosophy on this. So as we go through this, we're going to be trying to increase our range of motion, but then we're going to be trying to have strength and control, i.e. stability, through those ranges that we create. So have that in mind as we go through. It's at least a two-part process. If not, then once we have that control in those new ranges, our job when we want to do a training session is to get really strong during those ranges. So if we're ready to get started, lots of us logging in, so thank you for logging in. Let's get into the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be standing, and we're going to do a little ankle mode. So you're going to take your foot in front of you, you're going to roll it towards the outside, and we're looking to open up the outside of the ankle. If the ankle is really tight and jacked up, it can actually cause quite a problem further up the chain all the time. So really simple to start. I'm going to turn the ankle to the outside, nothing that's too painful. Then my job is I'm going to then rotate myself around that foot, bring it back down, turn it, and we're just going to encourage a feeling of opening up through the outside of that. So turn the foot to the outside, and rotate a little bit, come back down. Turn it, rotate, come back down. Just a few controlled reps, just trying to open up the outside of that ankle. We'll swap and do the other side. Not too worried about exact number of reps, we're just doing what feels good. One might feel different to the other. This one for me feels an awful lot easier on the left than it does on the right. I know that I've got a lot of stiffness in my right side, for example. Good. The other one, we're going to do the same thing, we're going to turn the foot onto its side. I'm going to try and maintain my hips pointing forwards. I'm going to step in front, and then I'm just going to do the same thing, rolling forward, and just trying to open up the outside of that ankle. Just rolling forward on it. You feel nice, sort of opening and stretch down the outside. You might even get a little bit into the bottom part of that calf. Good, and then the other side. As I say, if the ankle is jacked up, not moving, and the joint itself is tight, we can get restrictions happening further up that kinetic chain. Nice. So good. Ankle should feel a little bit better. Come then down onto our knees in a 4-point kneeling position. I'm going to take all the weight on this left leg that's closest to the camera. I'm going to take my right knee, place it on the other side down on the floor. And then my job is to try and hunt around. I'm just going to now, same sort of thing, I'm just trying to loosen off the back of that hip. So mobilizing into the hip, using almost the, think of your femur, your thigh bone, driving up into the outside of that hip there. I'm using my weight to push down onto that femur, your thigh bone that is pushing into your hip. So just oscillating in and out, moving side to side. Good. Just have a hunt around, loosen that off. Maybe you come forward. Oh yeah, that feels a bit juicy more. Come forward there. Oh. Slide back. Not so bad for me. So I'm going to focus on the bit that feels tight for me there. Good. Other side. Don't try and force anything on this. So now weight on my right knee, bring the left knee across the back, and just massage it into the back of that one. And again, might not feel as bad, might feel better, might feel worse than the other side. Again, explore what's it like for me a little bit further forward. Oh yeah, there you go. That's that bit for me there. If you find a really tight bit like that, just small little movements. Once you found something that's a little bit juicy, try and relax into it. Don't force it. Don't try to hurt yourself. We're trying to loosen off. That's line further back. What's that like? Not too bad there. Some more here. Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, so that's the hip mobilized a little bit to start with, and then we're just going to look at the spine itself. So we're going to go from a tuck your bum underneath, raise ourselves up, and go through some of those full spine movements in a cat cow. So tucking all the way underneath and raising all the way up, making yourself as rounded as possible, tuck the chin, and then the opposite, coming down, trying to make yourself as arched as possible. A couple more of those. You might also want to look at, as you come through some of those, a little bit side to side motion as well. As you come through, so feel free to explore. The spine can move in many ways. And one of those is rotation. So let's look at rotation now. You're going to take your right hand, you're going to thread it underneath the left, bend the left elbow, bring the shoulder down to the floor, come back up, and then reach the other way. So a few reps. Getting that rotation going. Try to fix the hips as much as you can so the rotation comes through that mid upper back, that thoracic spine. Good. We'll swap sides. I'll show you on front on. You can see what it's on front. So I'm going to take swap sides to the left hand. Going to go underneath the right elbow. I'm going to bend. So I come down. And then I come back up. I'm trying to rotate. Trying to make the rotation happen from here and at the back rather than from the hips. Oh, nice. One more. Good. Okay, let's start to get these hips moving a little bit. I'll show you this from time. So, in our 4-point kneeling still, we're going to lift the right knee up off the floor. We're going to turn it out to side. We're going to rotate it around, draw a big circle with that foot, bring it back down, and the same thing, draw as big a circle with that foot as possible, and bring it back down. I did try to, at this point, when I pump out to the side, I'm going to try and tilt so that foot goes higher than the knee. My job is to try bring the foot as high as I can, whilst not trying to move any other bit of the body. So now we're working quite hard to do that. When this foot is higher there, we're creating internal rotation. So encouraging that. If your internal rotation, the hip is tight, you really find difficulty at the bottom. Around, slow and controlled with these. You're not trying to rush them. This is now we're trying to think about taking it through range that we can control once we've loosened it off. So we were loosening off before. Now we're still trying to encourage range, but we're doing it in a way that we are in control. One more of those. That's a side, turn the foot, reach it around, slowly, slowly, slowly. Back up, around. Oh, there should really start working down, looking at my voice changes significantly. Okay, from there, you're going to tuck the toes underneath. We're going to sit back, and I just want you to, now we're just going to be stretching underneath those feet a little bit, and then we're going to start to work into those quads a smidge. So just look at opening and pushing those hips up a little bit and leaning back into those toes. Feel free to move them a little bit side to side. You're going to feel a lot around that big toe flexor too from behind. And we're trying to get that plantar fascia, big toe flexor, opening up. It's a bit more for the toes, particularly loosening off. They can play, a big part of your calves are tight. That can play a role as well. Good, so I want you to come up. We're just going to come down to wherever you can and back up. So now rather than just resting there, we're now, as we come in, you're going to feel that more through here. You're going to feel it a little bit through your quads probably as well. Work as far as you can under control. We're going to hold in that position and come back up. So you should feel now this is a bit more active for those toes rather than it just being completely, and for the quads rather than being completely just passive in that position. Last thing I want to think about is tuck that pelvis underneath, shows your sexy white pants. Where are my socks? At least I've not got white socks on. Can't even do that. I've focused so much on doing a really good mobility routine. I forgot to bring my mobility socks next time. But no socks is good actually for this. That's why I did it. Don't think that I forgot my socks. If you've got white socks on, by the way, take them off. Right, tuck the pelvis underneath rather than being sat back. I'm not trying to do this. That is hip flexion. I'm trying to tuck the pelvis underneath, squeeze the bum, check that it's on, push it forward. So now my hip is in neutral. I'm going to try and come down and then maintain that position still there. Rather than coming down and bending, flexing of the hip, I'm keeping it up, going down, driving back up. Now, so maintain that now as we untuck the toes. You're going to come down, same thing, come down, and you're going to touch the floor behind you and come back up. Come down, touch the floor behind you, maybe encourage, let yourself go a little bit lower, push yourself back up. We're going to just work through range that we can. Eventually you might find that you're able to get a little bit further. Again, rather than here, keep the hips up. And then ideally we're working down to some lower positions. It might be that you can get down to your elbows. Try and keep those hips up, bum squeeze. Come back up. Just work through the range that you can. I'm going to try and show off a little bit in that this is something I am one thing I am actually okay at in terms of flexibility. Trying to get my back down onto the floor. Again, you can see how I'm starting to flex there because these are tight. Squeeze bum, push hips up, and then can I work back up into that position? Means that I'm working strength through those rather than just passively being there. So we're getting a little bit of both of it. Strength. We've got some eccentric when we're lowering down. Eccentric, we're lengthening but under tension and coming back up. We're building some of that strength as we're trying to lengthen through those quads and through those hip flexors. Okay, next up, we're going to come then onto our bum. And you're going to take your your feet out to the side. And all we're going to do, you can use your hands to start with for balance. We're going to bring one knee down into the middle, and we're going to control it back up. Then bring the other one, and back up. What you find might happen is, when I move this knee, the other one starts going as well. Now I want to fix this one in place. I'm going to bring this one towards the middle, and control back up. Don't try and ram it, don't try and hurt yourself. But now this is turning inwards, this feels turning inward, internal rotation of that hip. And ideally, if we can, you'll notice that when you try and get that last little bit here, this knee, I need to work quite hard to maintain it in that position. So it starts to get a little bit more active as I work down there. If you want to, then you can take hands up, make some fists with the hands. So you're just making sure that you maintain some nice bit of tension. What are you like at working in and out without your hands on the floor? You see the difference? Tight in there, I can feel it in the front of that hip. Much more freedom there on that side. And then as we go through these, you're going to find that gradually, as we do a few reps, it's going to start to get nice, a little bit better. Okay, hands are going to go back down on the floor. Now we are going to, when you turn, you're going to turn both of them. We're then going to turn into our 90 degrees at the knee, 90 degree between your hips, 90 degree at the front side. Then we're going to turn, and we're going to rotate, and we go on to the other side. When you get to here, if you can, I want you to do a nice little pause. You stay upright with your hands off the floor. If you need to, use your hands, but just try and slump over to the side. And then we're going to rotate and control back to the other side. Use your hands as much as you can, or as much as you need to. But gradually, we're going to start, can you just use one hand? Yeah? And then no hands as we start to work through these positions. And our job is to, can we actually work as slow as possible through them so that we're in control of this shape. When we're in here, think about what that front leg is doing. That front leg is in relative external rotation and the back leg is in relative internal rotation. So it's a nice one that you're doing both. And when we come here, we're going open up, abduction, and we come through, and then they swap over. So now this leg is in external rotation, and this one is in internal rotation. So we get both sides of that internal external rotation that the hip requires. Great. From there, hip should start to be feeling a little bit better now. Can you come forward into the bottom of a squat position? How does that feel at the bottom of your squat? It may be that you can keep both heels down onto the floor like this. It may be that your heels are slightly up. It may be that your bum is slightly up. Use your hands if you need to for balance to start with. But all we're going to do is we're just going to try and encourage one knee out to the side with your hand, a few reps. And then I want you to do the same thing, but not actually touch it. Just imagine, like, use the force. Imagine, so then all of a sudden, I'm not touching it, but it's still moving. because then my glutes making it do the work rather than just at first I'm pushing it. So you make it you make it work, swap sides, push that one out to the side initially, get it moving, get it working, and then you use the force. That one. So, come with me. Go away. Push. Good. Okay, I'm just messing about now. Right, next one. You're going to bring that knee, you're going to bring the leg over on front. Use your hands for support if you need to. But gradually, that internal rotation now, in this squat position, you're having to be more active and controlled in this shape. It's like a progression on from what we were doing before. So you start to see that now we are working through these ranges and you are controlling them. We're probably starting to sweat a little bit, if you like me, because all of a sudden this is now not passive. We're actively working here. We're having to create tension to be in these shapes. Hopefully we can get into some of these types of bottom positions. From here, what I want you to do is we're going to try and rotate up from one side to the next. You need to use one hand to balance and quickly to start with, fine. But eventually, let's see, can we hold on to one ankle and rotate up. Reach with the other arm if you want. Hold that shape. A little bit of thoracic rotation whilst you are fixing your hip. Again, very active in that shape. You can't just passively go through that. We have to work hard. Next one, we're going to work up then into hamstrings. From your deep squat position, you're going to stand up. You're going to try and keep your thighs as close to your stomach as you can. Come back down to your squat, stand back up. But keep your thighs as close to your core, close to your stomach as we can. Working slow, not rushing it. You're trying to maintain, imagine you're pinching your t-shirt as you straighten those legs. If you want to, you can cup your hands underneath your feet. So you've got something to hold on to and pull down against. Good. And try. We're going to have a breath now, relax at the top. So we're going to go to the top. Try to keep your stomach touching your thighs. Hold that shape. Nice breath deep into the diaphragm. In and out through the nose. Relax. Come back down. Good. Really like a deep into from the diaphragm, not from your chest. So you're going to draw your diaphragm down. We're in the shape. Draw it down through the nose. And out the nose. You're still trying to keep, we'll do one more, still trying to keep the thighs as close, trapping your t-shirt as you can. In through the nose, you're going to draw the diaphragm down. Good. So you should be, you can see where you're at. For me, if I can get both hands flat to the floor, that's me currently in a pretty good shape. I'm working on getting lower. Okay, so lower body, that should feel. Someone said, Reese the Jeff up. Reese the Jeff, remember the British question talked about getting loosey-goosey this morning. Well, it's night time for him, he's in the US, he's in Australia. How is the hips? Give me a bit of feedback, guys. How are the hips feeling? And then we're going to move on to the upper body. Someone's got some creaking noises. No hands is the devil, Dan Jones. Great exercises, Alan. I'm glad they're working for you. Your core, Esther, the core is working hard in some of these as well. We're always trying to integrate into the rest of the kettlebell. Ben Mortlock. Is the video working for you, pal? Loosey goosey, baby, Dan Hicks. Okay, Cool. Right. Let's then look. Let's then look at problem with the camera. Let's then look at the upper body a little bit then. So we're going to start with our seated shoulder extension, where you're going to put a bum on the floor. You're going to take your hands, you're going to put them as close behind you as you can. If you can get your little pinkies to touch, great, but they don't have to. Don't force this. Okay? So you're going to go as close behind you as you can. You're then going to try and peel the shoulder blades back as you open up the shoulders. So squeeze the shoulders back, let your elbows go straight, and then just going to nudge your bum forward. We're going to hang in here, we're going to squeeze those shoulders back. So look at my shoulders, not forward, squeeze back. And imagine I'm pinching a pound point between the shoulder blades. I'm just going to do some of those breaths into that. So in through the nose, out through the nose. And when you relax on the way down, you're just going to nudge the bum a little bit further forward. And then again, squeeze the shoulders back. In from the diaphragm. So draw that diaphragm down in through the nose. And then as you relax on the way down, you just nudge a little bit further again. So this is effectively the static. We'll go for one more. If you didn't listen to this week's podcast on Wednesday, we had Patrick McKeown, the author of the Oxygen Advantage, legend and amazing breathwork, coach and scientist. So understanding how to use that diaphragm more effectively with nasal breathing. So make sure you do listen to that one. So we're going to do one more. So draw your diaphragm down, so into your belly. Good. So that's just being a little bit like static in that shape, but you should feel, I'm getting through biceps, because probably biceps are a bit tight, but particularly around the front of the shoulders, anterior down, chest, when we're opening up into that position. Now we're going to be a little bit more active with that shape. What does that mean? So it means we're going to be looking to move in and out. So your hands are not going to be as close now, your hands are going to be more sort of shoulder width apart, so if you make sort of either side of the mat here, and then going to actually pull those shoulders back. I'm going to drive them also down. Just that hand, make sure we're even. So pull the shoulders back, drive them down, lift my bum up in the air, and then I'm going to push myself forward. So I'm now not resting in this shape. I'm actually creating some range by me encouraging that position. So going into that shoulder extension, so the shoulder going behind the body. Adjust your feet a little bit if you need to. Remember, we haven't just worked on those ankles a bit, and those toes, so we should be able to come forward and back if you want to. We can take this onto one side, and go a little bit further, swap over, and then the other. Nice. Couple more. Should really feel that around the front of that shoulder. Down to bicep a little bit. But as you can see, as you'll feel, we're now working into that, creating that position with the arm going behind the body. So shoulder extension, shoulder flexions when the arm goes up overhead. That's helping us. We're having to create that. We're under control. We're supporting our body weight. We're giving the brain that reason to go, okay, if you're going to go into this shoulder extension shape, into here, well, and you're having to now hold your body up against gravity and create that strength and stability around that joint in that new shape that you've just stretched in. Well, okay, I might just keep some of that there. Like the brain is ultimately in control of what's going on at your joints. It needs to feel safe. It needs to feel happy because it wants to protect you. So you think that if that shape that we were just in there, that the arms going by the back of the body, think about our muscle up, boom, as we come through that transition, or if you're going into a dip or you're going to a push up, the shoulder, ignore the fact that the elbow bends, the shoulder, effectively, the head of your humerus, is at the same position. That's just the difference in bending. That's just me bending the elbow, but that is in the arm is behind the body there, the same as when it is in there. It's just the elbow being bent. So whenever we're going to the bottom of these push-ups, these dips or muscle-ups or anything like that, we're always going into that shoulder extension. The more your brain is happy in taking you into good shoulder extension patterns with control, the easier those movements are going to become in terms of you being able to put the force down as well. And not only going to help you feel less tight, you're going to be performing better as well, which is one of the great benefits of working like this, working for range, but then building up that control and stability. And then the third thing, getting that strength in there afterwards. Okay, final one, we'll look at then shoulder flexion, arms going above the head. With shoulder flexion, a couple of things that we need to be interested in is not letting the back arch too much, because if you let the pelvis roll forward, so into that anterior tilt, have that arch in the back, that's actually shortening the lat, which is a big muscle on the back that when you're doing things like your pull-ups, etc., is a big muscle for helping with pulling. Because one of the things, or it does a number of different things. It takes the shoulder into that extension, so that helps you with your pull-up. It internally rotates the shoulder, so it turns it in, and it also arches the back, or pulls on the lower on the pelvis because of where it attaches. So we want to try and do the opposite of that thing, because we're going to try and tuck them underneath. When we're stretching over here, your lat, which wants to pull you back here and pull you into this shape, we're going to go overhead. So we've got to do the opposite of that, which is going overhead, shoulder flexion, and then we've got to do the opposite of that, which is tucking underneath. And the final thing is making sure that where the sort of the extension that we're getting to the spine is coming from the upper back, sort of just below where that redefining impossible sign is. That middle back between shoulders, once we're trying to open that up without it coming from the lower back. So we're going to go into a position where we are kneeling. You're going to reach your hands out in front of us. You're going to, you see that big arch on the lower back. I'm going to tuck that pelvis underneath, and then I'm going to try to pull my chest and head down towards the floor. Hold that position in there, and then I'm going to check to see what the pelvis is like. Can I now arch it? Yeah. Come back to the start. So the reason being, what I like with that sort of global extension pattern at the end where we've come down, we actually arch at the very bottom, is to go, if you can't, then you know you've lost that position. So if I go through that again, I tuck the pelvis underneath, and now come down towards the bottom. I maintain that tuck position as much as I can, even though I'm going into hip flexion. But then now, if I go right, I'm going to now undo that. Boom. Yeah, I felt a massive difference, and I really slumped down and found that then easy to the mat. So I know that I kept a better position. Each time I'm going to walk the hands a little bit further out, tuck the pelvis underneath, pull the chest and head down towards the floor, keep the pelvis tucked, hold that shape, feel that, and then arch it up, look up. Did you maintain that position? Now, core's going to start to work a little bit more now, like someone mentioned earlier in the comments. Work the hands a bit further forward, tuck the pelvis underneath, pull the chest down towards the floor, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling. Good, and then let the arch go. Nice, come back up to the start. One more, pull forwards, tuck the pelvis underneath, come down, feel the stretch. Then let the hips go. Nice, so we've got one more. Hands a little bit further forward, hands now off the mat. Tuck the pelvis underneath, pull down. Oh, there we go. Let the hips go. Oh, then almost completely down onto the floor. How's that feel? Last one I want to finish off is just on for your wrists. A nice one, particularly for those that are doing handstand work. How's it feel when you take your arms overhead? Should feel a little bit easier. Ooh. Should feel nice. Actually, no, sorry. The final one before going into the wrist was a little bit of strength work for the shoulders, just in terms of that stability that I was talking about. So we've tried to improve range going into extension, improve range going into shoulder flexion, and a little bit of that thoracic extension in there as well. The last one is we're going to go through, take the joint through some full range position. So you're going to come lying down onto the floor. You're going to tuck the pelvis underneath you. So I'm not going to be arching my back or lifting my chest. Head, nose is going to be just brushing the floor. Pelvis tucked under, so I've got a little bit of space here. Palms are in front, thumbs pointing up. I'm going to reach up. I'm going to come around to like my T position. I'm going to come back all the way behind me to an A. And then I'm going to turn in. The hands are going to touch behind my back. And then I'm going to rotate and bring them back around. Lay them back down on the floor. So effectively going up in front of me to like a Y, into a T, into a or an A shape, rotate inwards, and then if you can, touch them behind your back without touching your back. But equally, that might be quite tight for a lot of people if we're struggling with shoulder extension and internal rotation. So here we're going, can we activate through mid-lower trap into a Y position, full shoulder flexion, trying to reach as high as you can. Work hard here, don't make it easy. Into our T again, squeeze the shoulders, make them work hard. Into our A at this point, just give yourself a check in your shoulders up by your ears, or you're driving them down, don't keep driving them down. Turn inwards, so that internal rotation. Just pull the shoulders back still. Can you touch behind your back? And then reverse the whole thing. We'll do one more nice slow rep. So come up, hold that position, squeeze, so hands nice and high, shoulders screwed back into our A. Make sure you're pulling the shoulder blades down, turn in, here pull the shoulders back as much as you can as the hands touch behind you. Reverse that whole thing. This is hard, you're working hard. Hard, hands high, then let them come down. Whew. So that should feel like, you can see my mat, you can see some sweat on it. Yeah, that should feel like we're working hard for that. That's taking us through shoulder flexion, so shoulder going overhead, good for your handstands, even flags, whatever, just good for reaching the coffee cup, good for your general shoulder health anyway. Then we're coming around into some of these wider abductor positions. We're then coming behind ourselves into then that shoulder extension that we were just working, but now you're actively holding it against gravity. We were then turning in, so that internal rotation that we can often be tight, particularly when the posterior cuff at the back of the shoulder is tight, we struggle to get that internal rotation. When we're coming behind the back, we were combining that internal rotation with shoulder extension, coming behind, so that we're hitting sort of all corners of what this shoulder can and should be able to do. As long as you're working that nice and slowly with control, work through the range that you've got. The same principle applied that we were talking about the lower body. We try to improve range. So we had some stretch, we had some mobilize. We're gradually working harder to create that range through that extension when we were on the floor going forward. We had then opening up through here when we were kneeling down in front of us. And then that last one ties that all together in terms of giving the brain that reason of going, okay, I need you to fire up these stabilizers to work through this new range that I've just created, and I want to maintain some strength there. If you were then to do a training session now, this is where this works great as part of our warm-ups, maybe not as quite as long and extended as this, but part of our movement preparations, we call it at the School of Calisthenics, or effectively like a really specific warm-up. If I'm going to go and do some handstands, I'm going to do some stuff that's going to help me improve my range of motion here, and then I might do the first part of this when I'm coming up, working some of these shapes here where I need to have that strength and control. And then I'm going to go and take that into my handstand session where my brain has been through this. I've took my brain through this process of, okay, we've created range of motion, trying to get into here. You've now like ramped up and activated the stabilizers around the shoulder to help me in some of these shapes where I just was here, but maybe just that first portion of it. And then you've gone and got strong in that shape by holding your whole body weight up in your handstand. The brain goes, okay, I'm going to have to adapt to this. I'm going to let you have that range, that stability and that strength, because you've given me a reason to maintain it. So then last one, wrist. Couple of things. The same sort of principles apply. We're going to go a little bit of range and then a little bit of strength for them, but just be really gentle with them. It's a much small, delicate joint. We don't need to be doing too much hard with it, but we're going to look at two things. Being able to take the wrist backwards here, that would be into wrist extension, and then also coming down here, that would be wrist flexion. That's really good for our handstands. That's really good for our ring and false grip muscle ups. So first one, hands going down onto the mat in front of you, and just leaning forwards and back. When you lean forwards, make sure the base of the palm stays on the floor. You can just oscillate in and out those a little bit. Try to screw, so watch my elbow pit is going to come and screw my elbow pit forwards as I come into that shape, and then a little bit side to side as well. So I can be rocking forwards and backwards, and a little bit side to side. We can take that and ramp that up a little notch and go into taking the fingers so they're pointing behind us, and then we can do the same thing. Do some little circles. We can go forwards and backwards. And then we can do a little bit side to side. So something I really like to just really emphasize these flexors here on the front of your forearm is isolate one side outside. So fingers pointing behind me. This is what I'm going to do. Follow me. Go to the same side. Left hand, fingers pointing towards me. I'm then going to use my right hand to track my left hand down. I'm then going to screw my left shoulder anti-clockwise. So anti-clockwise, and then I'm going to sit back into there. Maintain this base of the palm on the floor, and I'm just going to sit back into that shape. I'm just going to breathe into that a little bit and just trying to let these guys loosen off. Again, in and out through the nose. And just let that happen from, think of it coming from the diaphragm, not from your upper chest. Don't take a big deep breath in from your upper chest. No, that's not deep. Deep means coming from down here. Check out the podcast with the expert, Patrick McKeown, on that. It really has changed the way I breathe, 100%. Let's do the other side. So again, this time I'm going to screw clockwise. This is on the other arm. So right hand screw clockwise, left hand comes in. I'm going to sit back. Try and keep this palm down, Jacko. You can see this right wrist a little bit tighter. Potentially no coincidence that my right wrist and the right ankle are both tighter. Couple of breaths here, in for the nose, out for the nose, from the diaphragm. Good. We're going to do then the same thing with the wrist the other way around. So turn, and you're going to put the back of your hand down onto the floor. Same thing in terms of screw the elbow pits that points forwards. And then this is going to feel nasty on those wrist extensors, particularly if they're tight. Oh yeah, baby, you're going to feel that. You might want to put your socks on your hands for this one. No, that's a joke, but we haven't got socks on anyway. But you know what I mean. Next time I'll show you what some real mobility gains is like when I get my power socks on. Working on a pancake and made some headway recently. I'm excited to, let's not say show off about it, but yeah, let's show. No, I can't, but I think I'm going to touch my head on the floor soon. That's going to feel pretty good for me. Okay, so just a little bit forwards and backwards, side to side. And then we can do the same thing one at a time. And with this, so now I'm screwing to anti-clockwise. Sit back down with this on the left hand, so screw anti-clockwise, point that pit, elbow pit forward, sit back. And then breathe into that, the diaphragm. Good. And the other side, oh, this is really, I really needed this. Thanks guys, because my wrist, oh, these forearm flexors, I've done a little bit of false grip work last couple of weeks, but false grip in the bar, and I haven't been as diligent with loosening these guys off as I should have done. So again, elbow hip point forwards. Good. I'm going to breathe into that. Nice. Okay, strength-wise, were you like, what? I thought that was it. No. So, one last bit. And the first time, if your eyes pop out of your head, don't be, when you what? Don't do something that's too hard. But when you see, the first time I saw Coach Georgie, I'm going to get her, she's coming on to do some workouts soon with this. When she first did this, my eyes popped out of my head. When I was looking at her, I was like, what? So, you're going to take the wrist, so we'll do the extension first. So fingers palm down, fingers pointing behind you, and you're going to come towards the front of the mat. And then our job, rather than just now we're like just working into these positions, oh yeah, that was nice. We're actually going to, can you come up onto one foot, come back down, can you go up onto the other foot, come back down, and then our job is, can we start to and forwards. So you think of the strength-wise, we're now encouraging the wrist to come back, but we're supporting ourselves, and you want to be coming backwards and backwards, keeping the base of the palm down still, but just working back. Good core position, don't let that back arch. Good. That one's not too bad. The one that makes your eyes pop out of your head is when we go for this one. So, only go as far as what you feel comfortable with. It might be just as you walk the knees back, you're going to feel cracking. I can feel that. And the strain in my wrist, that's plenty for me. That's fine. If you can, and see what does it feel like, just to start edging towards holding this shape. The legs getting straighter. And then, if you feel like you can, come up. Then we can oscillate a little bit into these shapes. Again, keep in a good position. The core movement is probably going to be less. Only work where you can. You know, that's not necessarily for everyone. It just shows you that, like when I first did that, when I first did it. When I first saw Georgie do it, I was like, man, what is that? Like, my wrist is not going to ever be able to take that. And then it was, what does the t-shirt say? What does the t-shirt say? What does it say? It says redefine your impossible. I'm going to get one that says no white socks on as well. But it says redefine your impossible. I literally looked at that and was like, my wrist is never going to be able to do that. And then, so I didn't try the full thing when I first did it with her. It was like, okay, just build up slowly, progressive overload as ever, same principles apply for whatever it is we're doing. A nice progressive overhead lets us build up gradually, and then I wouldn't say that's like a walk in the park, but in terms of the range I can play my wrist now, it feels so much better, so much looser, and it's building up the strength to be able to hold myself in that position, as well as backwards as well. I've probably got more work to do coming. I've got many finger injuries from rugby, so the base of my palm is going flatter, but some of these tendons, well, one of them is completely torn off, so it won't go, but you can see trying to open up here compared to here. I'll probably create a better shape into that flexion rather than extension. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. We have a full mobility program, a movement and mobility masterclass that we did with our friend in collaboration with. He's a big mobility expert. I learned an awful lot from Ollie Frost. He's also actually an ex-rugby player, and when you see what he can do, he didn't used to be able to do any of that at all. So it's worth checking that out if you want to get really deep into your mobility work. There's a full program inside our virtual classroom for that. Unfortunately, it isn't one of our free products. We do have Bodyweight Basics, which has got lots of movement stuff in there. That is free for lockdown, and we do have a free beginners program. But this movement and mobility masterclass really is for those that are invested in spending a lot of time developing their mobility and helping that with the whole like sort of quality of movement of their and how good their body is going to feel, as well as some more advanced mobility training. So do check that out. You get it as part of the VIP membership, or you can buy it as a standalone program on its own. And on those memberships, remember, we've got 50% off during April as part of Handstand Up to Corona, because you're going to get that handstand program in the new handstand program that we released 2 weeks ago. People are going mad for. So do make sure you check it out. With the memberships, you get 7-day free trial, so you can check it out for free. 50% off in April, 7 days to check it out for free. 10% goes to charity, helping those affected by the coronavirus and the NHS. So lots of good things happening with that. And we'd love you to check it out. In the UK, we would call it a no-brainer when it's a 7-day free trial, because you can cancel it after 6 days and 23 hours and you don't get charged, but you get a full week to go at it. So whilst you're stuck down at home, it's something that if you've been enjoying the free programs, like the Bodyweight Basics and the Free Beginners program, if you've been enjoying things like that, then recommend have a week inside the virtual classroom, one of those memberships, and see what you think. If it's not for you, you haven't lost anything anyway, because you cancel and the thing will be charged. Cool, thank you very much, guys. Final question from me: is there anyone with feedback on types of sessions you would like to see in the next couple of weeks? We are getting, so Coach Georgie, who I mentioned there, and Coach Jude, two of our coaches, our female coaches, they're also both yoga teachers. So we're going to have some yoga for calisthenics for you on one of the sessions next week. So that's definitely coming. What other stuff would you like to see? Leave us some messages in the comments. That's me. We're live on all sorts of platforms here. Dan Hicks wants some hand balancing. Yes, Dan, you read my mind, baby. Dan Hicks on YouTube. We are with Georgie. She's going to be doing some hand balancing with you. Yes, more rings as well. Yeah. So those we did a ring. Tim did a ring workout yesterday, and lots of you absolutely loved that. So there's more of that. We can do some more ring work for sure. I'm thinking about because a lot of people didn't have rings. We're asking about dips. Yeah. Some people didn't have rings or anything like a pull-up bar or anything to pull on. So I'm looking at doing a session potentially on how do we do a pull and back session, because we need to do that for good sort of postural control for the shoulders, rather than just always pushing and getting in here. So how do we do that when we don't have any equipment? Would people be interested in that? A workout where we're using like our table or our chairs or something to allow us to do some pulling actions and some pulling and some rowing exercises without the need for any equipment. Is that one that would be of interest? A couple of people asking about, thanks for the comments, guys. A couple of people asking about sort of some specific stuff like for frog to handstands, specific stuff for ring or bar muscle-ups. We have all of those as full programs that you follow week by week inside the virtual classroom. So I would check, though, they're so specific to those movements and those questions, like they're all going to be answered in there, like a full series of not just progressions, but how they're actually programmed in a week by week structure, broken down into modules, which are blocks of 4 weeks of work, fully periodized, so progressively overloading, having a deload, and there's assessments along the way throughout those modules to check how you're getting on. So for really specific work like that, everyone is going to get more out of using the program rather than a live workout on something really specific like that is going to be not necessarily beneficial to the whole of the community, because everyone's at different points. Whereas when everyone's at different points, they can work through the program themselves wherever they're at. So Esther's saying stuff with like rings or TRX and resistance bands. Yeah, there's definitely stuff we can do with that. That's potentially what I was thinking about for. Do people have? Let us know in the comments. Do people have resistance bands at home? We can definitely do some pulling, some rowing actions with resistance bands for sure. And then finally, if you're not on our email list, make sure you get up on our email list. If you're not haven't subscribed on YouTube, get subscribed to our YouTube, because all of these workouts, lots of you asking, Are these workouts available to watch elsewhere if I miss them when they're live? Yes, they're on YouTube. So go to our YouTube. There's loads of other content on our YouTube channel as well. If you're not on YouTube yet, some of you are watching on YouTube now, make sure you have subscribed. But if you haven't, check out YouTube, check out the playlist. There's one that's at home. There's one that's follow-on workouts. I think there's about 27 so far in there. So you can watch them back at any time. And then in terms of being on the email list or trying to get, so on a Monday morning, we email out the schedule for the week. We're adding more workouts to it for some additional time. So they're not all going to be at 11 o'clock UK time next week. So we're going to try and hit some different time zones for people. But if you want to be on our email list, go to schoolcalisthenics.com so that you can get notified of them. If you'd like notifications sent direct to your phone, then we have a WhatsApp notification system. So you need to send a WhatsApp message, I want to join, to, get ready, +44 7883 161 433. I know that off by heart now. If you're on Instagram, it's one of our highlights. You'll be able to see that number again, +44 7883 161 433. There's quite a few of you on it. So yeah, send a WhatsApp message, I want to join, to that number, and then you will get notified of when all the live workouts are. Thank you all for watching. We've been nearly an hour. It's been amazing. Did we feel? Are we feeling a bit looser, a bit better after that? Let me know in the comments. Do we feel a bit better after that? The workouts next week. Most of them are going to be 11 o'clock UK time, but some of them are going to be potentially afternoon. Potentially a little bit earlier, but do get subscribe to our email list. Check out all the details. We'll obviously go out on social as well. But if you want to know 100% for certain the schedule, get on the WhatsApp notification. Send a WhatsApp message. I want to join. Send out WhatsApp. I want to join to +44 7883 161 433. Send that on WhatsApp. And you will then get notified, and the full schedule, once that is finalised, that'll be finalised out on Monday morning before the first one. I'm definitely doing Monday morning core at 11. Tomorrow, Owen is doing lower body tomorrow at 11. Sorry, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think it's lower body tomorrow. But Owen's doing 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, definitely. So no, Friday, 11 o'clock. Monday is definitely 11 o'clock with me, and we're doing core. Right. Thank you. Thanks everyone for watching. We will see you all again very soon. This has been the School of Calisthenics. You've been awesome. I've been Jacko. Thank you for watching. Class dismissed.